Okay, so let's continue. Next we are gonna hear Arno talking about virtual realities. So let's give a round of applause.
Hi and welcome everybody. Hi everybody online as well. Hope you can hear me. I think the tech works now, and probably I see as well. So, oh yeah, I have this, forgot. So my topic today is the virtual reality stuff. First of all, a bit about my background in the topic. I've been doing this on and off for a bit less than 2 years maybe. When we started with Mikko Nurmi, who's sitting right there, and Alma Media, we explored some digital storytelling possibilities, how to bring editorial content into VR. After that, we've had some projects, more about that later. I hope that after this presentation you have an idea how to get started with virtual reality development, what tools you need, how might you use them, and most importantly, why should you care? So let's start with that. That's the easiest one to answer. So now it's probably early days to start, but in 10 years, think about the fact that most of you will be using VR headsets for developing things, as in having 2 screens in front of you. You replace that with a headset that you can have windows all over. Designing things, having meetings in augmented reality, so like holodeck style, would be super cool. You can probably name more numerous things that you could do, but most importantly, the last one, our customers also want that. They want to have tools that enable them to use VR in design, in their work. I'm not saying that like everything is gonna be like unicorns and candy and virtual and yay. It's just another tool that you can add to existing ones. So what can you do today? What can you use actually this technology for? So first of all, design and showcase. Most importantly, you can actually feel the scale of the designs, collaborate in a realistic environment, and hopefully achieve more than you could just do with pen and paper or the nowadays collaborative tools. Additionally, it's a great selling point. Consider you're buying a new kitchen. Instead of seeing a drawing of it or a 3D model of it, you can actually walk in and feel the kitchen, see it, how the drawers worked, pull them out, see what the fridge looks like, and so forth. Storytelling, as I mentioned, I was taking part in this project where we explored the methods of different storytelling mediums. So 360 videos, for instance, that most of you have probably seen, but also interactive experiences that enable the user to actually feel more of the story. Training simulators, an important part. You can achieve a lot cheaper in comparison to a pure physical setup. You can variate different, say you have an airplane cockpit, you could try out different things quickly, different setups. And the ability to record and replay sessions in training is really invaluable. Lastly, probably most importantly, workplace tools. So I sampled a few industries where they're going to be potentially really useful. Obviously, you can name a lot more, but medical applications are numerous. Consider a radiologist doing or going through scans, MRI scans, which are basically 3D models of a human body sliced in tiny slices. So slicing them on a desktop is you need a lot of training to use different kinds of software. But in virtual reality, you can slice them and go around and look at them in different angles, and it's a lot easier. It's a bit hard maybe to imagine with today's standards, so the resolution is kind of low. There is a lot of there's a lot of room to improve. But as the tools get better, then there is going to be more potential and more market for that. Cases, what we have actually done. Over 2 years back, Oculus DK2 time, we did a virtual grocery store demo, which demonstrated the capability to go into a grocery store in virtual reality. Not much to really tell about that. That's basically it. Last year we did training premises visualization for internal selling. Unfortunately, that's NDA. I can't tell more about that. Then the previously mentioned project with Alma Media, where we explored the different mediums of storytelling. And a few training simulator proof of concepts, and one that is going to be in production actually next week. So more about these last two things, which are the most interesting ones. Last fall we did a proof of concept plus a demo with TAMK. So in their VR sprint we did a traffic accident training simulator for the police academy, and the main idea in this is that going to theory lessons to field training, there's a lot of ground to cover in between. As in, you go and train, say, 30 people out there. It's gonna take time, and there's not much time that you can spend with individual students. So you would need something extra material between there, and that's really what virtual reality simulators are really good for. So you can have many different scenarios. You can do them in your own time without assistance, and you can combine them with normal teaching methods, such as you don't have to program everything in there. So you could just lay out a simple scene, make the students go there, and then make them write a report afterwards. So it's not revolutionary in that sense. It's just another tool that you can add to that process. What we recently did, this is going to be in production in next week, I think, or in 2 weeks at least. Real students are going to be trying this out, and we're going to get feedback towards the end of the summer. So cause of death training simulator, again, a somewhat stressful situation that you would probably need to be ready for in the work of a police officer. So you could actually gain some experience what it feels like to encounter a dead body, what you should do there, how you should proceed in that situation. Again, this is a somewhat simple but still an effective way also for the teachers to show how would you actually approach this situation, because a lot of that knowledge doesn't really come through to the students. As in, you can show things, but you can't just tell that, okay, now I would do this and that, but you can show the whole flow of things. How would you approach it? All right, interesting part, live demo. I hope for no demo effects of any kind. The technology is somewhat not there yet always. So we're gonna do a quick demo how to set up a VR project. We're going to use the HTC Vive, but also this would support 3 additional platforms, and this doesn't require much of a setup, as you'll be seeing. So let's jump in there. Let's see that our things still work here. They should. All right, so I hope everybody can see something at least. Online it might be not that clear, but I hope you can see my screen well. So right now we have an empty scene in Unity. Just a normal scene. We have nothing here, a normal camera, a plane for us something to look at. So right now this is not too interesting. So if I take the headset here, so you can see the camera doesn't really move, doesn't do anything. So it's just a normal normal Unity scene. So let's go ahead and delete that first of all and save it. And then what we're gonna do is that we're gonna cheat a bit. Oh, first I should probably mention that I've already pre-installed the SteamVR Toolkit and the VRTK. That stands for VR Toolkit. Ta-da! So SteamVR is obviously made by Valve. It's the SDK for the HTC Vive. Unfortunately, it's not that complete and has many flaws, so that's where the VRTK comes in. And VRTK is something that... Are we online? Yes. VRTK is a collection of useful scripts, indeed. So it enables you to target many platforms at once. You don't have to download each SDK, make the interactions work with each platform, and so forth. But instead, you can have this, target all the platforms at once. It has most of the basic functionality covered with various alternatives that you can hook it up to. A really useful tool and has progressed a lot. Works unfortunately in Unity for now, but that's the platform most developers I'd say use. Unity has its downside, as most of you probably know. Those of you who don't, Unity is a game engine that can also be used for various other purposes, such as simulations and visualizations and stuff like that. But so, more about that later maybe, but let's start. So first we need, now we're gonna cheat a bit. It's called, what is it called? SDK Setups. Yes, that's what we need. So this is pre-made for us. Let's see what it contains. So here we only have actually the different setups. What interests us is the SteamVR setup. So we have here the camera rig that's required, that has the controllers, what they do, all the scripts there. We could just drag that in, but then again, we couldn't do this multi-platform thing. If we turn that quickly on, you can actually see that it has the play area there and the other parts. What we need here is the SDK manager, and let's click on auto-populate. And as you can see, it already added the ones that we have here. The grayed out ones, we have them, but we don't have the necessary SDKs installed, so we can't use them. You can actually auto-load this, so it will target the platform that the user has. And that's about it. I guess we should be able to run this now. So, or are we? Oh yes, we have the simulator. Why do we have the simulator? And we have a demo effect. Because this is the right one. Did we save it? Yes, we did. Relevant. Let's see. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? I have no idea. It works now. It wasn't relevant. So now we can actually move the camera. We can see the controller, which is on the table here. But that's not much. We want to do something more elaborate than that. So let's go ahead and we want to teleport around. Say we want to go around this plane, move a bit. So we're gonna add here, not there, don't do that, that's stupid. This is gonna be our script aliases thing. It doesn't actually matter where these scripts reside, but it's good practice to do it so. So we have the play area here. And then we would add, let's add one for the right controller. So there we go. Let's actually add one for the left. although we don't use it, but for the sake of example. How much time do I have? Still 10 minutes. That's good. We're all good. So to make things easier, that you don't have to populate all of these, so you would go here and put everything you need in this controller here. If you had Oculus, you would go here and blah blah blah. So instead you can make aliases, and let's drag them right there so that Unity knows that which one it should use. So let's start by adding, let's add which one would we add? I had set up dash. Let's add dash teleport. So this doesn't actually matter where it resides, but as it targets the play area itself, it's good practice to name it so. So as you can see, we have various options which you could select. If we don't want a dash teleport, if we want to move some other way, we could add a different component here. Alright, so now we could basically teleport around, but we still need something to trigger that by, and that's where we're gonna need this. So let's add add a pointer, which is a pointer that you can point things with, obviously. And let's make it look like a Bezier curve. And we want to add the renderer because, well, that's how this thing works now. Previously it didn't. You couldn't specify it. You had it separately. But so we added a pointer, and then we added an appearance, how that looks like in virtual reality. And because, oh wait a sec, one more thing. Controller events. We need events as well, since we want to send an event that, hey, we have pressed the button, you should show the pointer. So we need this component here. And now, if we're lucky, everything should work, unless there is a demo effect. Let's see. So we have the pointer here, and we press the touchpad, and it shows the pointer. When we release it, we teleport to that spot. Yay. Let's go back here. And as you can see, when we go outside the area, which doesn't have a collider attached to it, you can't obviously teleport there. Alright. Now that we have that set up, we might want something for us to grab. So let's add a cube, a huge one. So you can be, I don't know which way we're spawning. I hope it's not back there. So let's add a cube. And back in the day, this used to be a bit harder. You needed to remember which ones to add. But now we have a nice script for that. So let's set up the object so that it changes color when we touch it. So we know that when we touch it, so it's going to be like red. Then, yes, we want to grab it. It needs to be true. We might want to hold the button to grab. Let's do it so. We can't use the cube. There is nothing for us to use it. So if you had an interactable object, say, what would we have? A fire extinguisher that you could pick up and then use. Then you would attach a script to it, which this would launch when you press, say, the trigger. And those are alright for us. So now we added a lot of stuff here, which again we don't need to worry about because it's automatic. We could set up here if we wanted to change the mechanics. So if that would be a door, we could maybe change this to be a joint, so it would turn around a certain spot. And it automatically adds a rigid body, so it has now mass and, you know, falls down when it should. Additionally, the thing which I haven't gotten around to try out yet is the haptics thing. So you can add effects. It can play an audio clip or vibrate the controller when you touch it. All right. Now we have set up the object. Let's go back to the right controller, and we need to add. What do we need? We wanna be able to touch it. We wanna be able to. We're TK grab. It's interact grab. Yes. And then finally, if we would have something to use there, we would have your TK interact use. So now we have set up the controller so that we can interact with things in the scene. So let's save that real quick and see if it works. So here it is. Where's our cube? It's right there, which is good. Now this creates a problem because I don't wanna. Is it there? Where is it? I can't really see. Oh, I'm a bit higher. Our calibration has gone wrong. So now as you can see, I have to bow down a bit. But the thing is, I can grab the cube. Could be a little smaller, though. It's 1 meter by 1 meter. Let's throw it away there. So actually, if I touch the ground here, it's like half a meter down there. But alright, that's how you set up an interactable object, a scene where you can move around. And this really took us, what, about 10 minutes, 11, 12. But that's where the fun starts. You can actually focus on doing things instead of doing the basics. So on the scripting part, on the interacting part, not with how do I make this work. All right, I think it's time for Q&A. Thanks for my part, and people online, write your questions on Slack. I'll try to answer them later. Thank you.
Okay, please raise your hands if you have any questions. Anyone?
It's awfully quiet.
If you want to comment from here. So regarding the work you did with the Police Academy, the murder scene, or how would you call it? So it was just nice to realize that when we discussed about how to make this scene realistic, the teacher, he gave us some hints and ideas, but when he was actually trying the first VR demo, he was really able to tell much more details about how he would do the investigation and all this. So
I agree.
That was a great example how when we took the guy into the VR, he kind of started to speak much more and gave us much more details and ideas. So that highlights the importance of getting people immersed and into the situation, the real context.
Somebody
Anything else?
Hand raised. Wait for the mic if somebody wants to hear you online.
That's more like a comment that you actually did catch the Tesoma murderer, did you?
Well,
Just a couple weeks ago.
I don't know if I have any part in that, but
you
it's a nice touch. So for those who didn't know, the case which we brought into virtual reality was the case of the Tesoma murder, and had various kinds of material about that in a virtual environment.
And a small detail was that actually we showed the VR solution for the family of the victim, so that was kind of a quite interesting situation, but it was nice to get the kind of a positive comments how we had done the storytelling part.
Yeah, they wanted to see what the fuss was all about. One thing maybe to note that obviously this is not going to be, or it's not yet at least, any high revenue, high win margin stuff, but it's fun to do. And if you have a thing for, say, game programming and stuff, it's really resembling that. So fun things to do, have a good PR value at least.
Somehow I don't think that is good PR, but can you solve it so that people don't vomit?
So the question was about motion sickness and how is that related to the VR?
I could have a whole presentation about this, to be honest. But yes, many people do experience simulator sickness in virtual reality, but in most cases, moving around by teleporting is relatively safe. And what's important is, like, unlike here, we somehow messed up the calibration. I think some lighthouse has moved a bit, maybe, or I don't know what has happened since we calibrated this morning. But is to have the right height, so the floor needs to be where it is, as you can feel it, not where you can see it. But yeah, move things steadily. Don't do artificial movement like fast accelerations, decelerations. Use a point of reference. For example, if you are sitting in there and you are in a car in a VR world, you don't feel sick because you have the seat which you are sitting on and you can see the cockpit around you, so that creates a even reference point, just like you would avoid getting motion sick driving normally, or if you get motion sick by reading in a car or a bus. There are numerous ways, really, but it's a problem.
Okay, so I think that's it. So thank you, Arno.
Thank you.